What if a group of aliens were running refugees on Earth, all disguised as humans, and their general was disguised as a cat? At the same time that they are running from a kind of alien Terminator, and they were also joining parts of an artifact to get them back to their planet, with the help of a doctor adventure slash writer that is the only one who believes them. This is the plot of one of the most creative lost classic of trash genre that I have ever encountered in my life. This is The Cat from 1992, directed by Lun Ngai Kai, a Chinese director that has a very interesting career with this horror slash trash slash sci-fi and a little bit of comedy movies. As the plot of this movie, The Cat, is nothing that you see around every day, and it could only have come from the mind of a writer who loves to mix this trash, sci-fi, action, and like I said, even comedy elements in a fantastic way. Actually, the story of this movie comes originally from a series of books in China, which the protagonist is the doctor that I mentioned in the synopsis, and his name is Wisely. And this is a very popular series of books in China, with this character going through a lot of adventures that has mysticism, magic, monsters, demons, aliens, and a lot of other supernatural stuff that makes Dr. Wisely be almost like a Chinese Indiana Jones of sorts. And this book series that, like I said, is called Wisely, that is literally his name, Wise and Lee, Wisely, has many other movie adaptations, including another that is also directed by Lun Ngai Kai, called The Seventh Curse, that we also gonna talk about it later. And The Cat starts with this group of aliens that are refugees on Earth, disguised as humans, and it's never quite clear in the story why they are refugees here and why they need to leave this planet as soon as possible. The fact is that they need to find two parts of an artifact that combined together will help them go back to their own planet, and they have to literally steal these parts from museums. This group is formed by the princess girl, who is never actually named in the movie, and now their man that is called Arrow, who is the kind of guardian of the trio here on Earth, and the general who is none other than the cat. Exactly, their big leader is actually disguised on Earth as a cat. And he couldn't be a cuter cat than this one, look at him. And even though this is a story that takes place in the Wisely universe, the protagonist here is the cat. And of course, he is the star of the best scenes in the movie, including the most trash ones. Starting by the most absurd and insanely inventive scene in this movie, and it was exactly through it that I found this classic in the vaults of lost classics on the internet. When I saw it, I couldn't believe there was a movie like this existing on our planet and I hadn't watched yet. And it is the scene where the cat has to face a big dog on a junkyard because he's running away from the police after stealing one of the artifacts of the museum. And since Dr. Wisely and the cops were already on the track of these aliens committing crimes to steal these parts of the artifacts, the doctor had no doubts in hiring a dog to join their team and chase the trail of the cat. And it's a damn big, angry dog that is the star of this scene, which I had never seen so much creativity and combined elements of special effects to create a fight between two animals. And really, it's a show of techniques available at the time to create the movements of these two combatants. And even though it's tragically comic and kind of adorable in certain parts, it's a very brutal fight. Both punch and kick each other, flip in the air, toss each other around, use objects of the junkyard to hurt the opponent, and like I said, there are so many techniques being displayed to make the scene, like fast cuts, dolls of the cat and the dog. We even have some stop motion to make their movements. It's absolutely brilliant. This is the kind of cinema that fascinates me. When you have this level of creativity in each frame to put this absurd scene together. And if you are an animal lover just like me, don't worry about the brutality of the scene, because despite the deadly fight between these two pets, both end up okay in the end, which is kinda hard to believe, but that's a nice touch. By the way, it's not just seen in the movie that flourishes with creativity, like I mentioned. The movie has many other action scenes with a lot of explosions, great choreography, bullets flying all around, filled with monster and gore effects. That is the area that most pleases me. You can even say this movie has layers of directing style like movies of John Woo mixed with John Carpenter and even David Cronenberg, all culminating in an ending where the Terminator alien character, who is a monstrous entity here in the Earth chasing our protagonists, literally becoming a huge blob, just like that movie The Blob, the classic from 1988, which I have already spoken about here in the channel, devouring human flesh of the people all around, and even becoming a huge monster that almost swallows a whole building. All with the most amazing bad trash visual effects that we all love. And this element of horror mixed with trash is a trademark of the director Lan Gai Kai. Like I said, I discovered his career by watching The Cat, but by consequence, I also discovered other amazing 4 movies of his filmography, and they also really deserve to be checked if you haven't seen them already. Actually, it all started when I watched another movie of his that I didn't know it was connected with The Cat, called The Seventh Curse, a movie that also has Dr. Wisely as one of the protagonists, but here he is played by the memorable Chinese action star Chow Yun-fat, who is an actor that appears a lot in many John Woo movies in Hong Kong. And in that movie, Dr. Wisely joins another character that is an adventure in a story filled with mysticism and demons. You can say that this is like Armor of God, starred by Jackie Chan, but with supernatural horror stuff. And there are actually a lot of very well choreographed fights in the movie, but it goes a little beyond with this whole trash horror element. Besides this movie, we also have another one that is probably the most popular in Lan Gai Kai's career, which is The Story of Ricky, a movie that if you are a fan here in the channel, you probably have already seen in some point of your life some of the grotesque slash trash scenes in it, because it has a plot that blends a lot of action with blood and gore, and it takes place in a prison where this muscled long-hair guy is unfairly committed and has to fight many enemies to survive. This movie is an example of over the top in every way possible, and we love it because of that. Another movie in his career is The Peacock King, which, if I'm not mistaken, is also adapted from another source, but this time a Japanese manga. This is probably the one that mixes most comedy and action from his career, pitching 2 wizards together that fight many demons and witchcraft in a tone that is almost like Lethal Weapon and Rush Hour. From the 4 other movies that I watched from him, this is the one that I less liked, but it has an interesting lighter tone, especially because of this whole buddy cop element. And of course, it doesn't disappoint in the category of special gore effects that are all practical. And finally comes the movie that I most enjoyed from this list, even though I am talking about The Cat in this video, and it's called Her Vengeance. And different than the other ones, this one has no comedy at all, and it's 100% straightforward revenge story. The story is pretty dark, about a woman that is coming out of her job one night and it's abused by a group of criminals, and years later she infiltrates in the under layers of Hong Kong to find these men and kill them one by one. There are even rumors that this movie inspired an American version that is I Spit on Your Grave, and honestly I don't like this American version. I think it's too mean-spirited, especially because here in this original we have something that makes it a badass of a movie. That is a lot of brutal, very well choreographed fight scenes. And if you don't believe me, check this out. If you've never seen a wheelchair-bound character fighting in a movie before, here you have one that is the master of the main character, starring some of the most badasses fight sequences in the whole picture. It's absolutely brilliant and you have to see it to believe it. But in the end of the day, this is one director that makes me very happy because his style blends all the things that I love in a movie like this fantastic trash horror elements, never forgetting the comical side that never takes itself too seriously, making the experience of all these movies very entertaining, especially in the case of The Cat, that if you want to watch it, it's a great suggestion for a night that you just want to sit down and watch a very trash, fun, very inventive movie that is simply brilliant. And what about you? Have you ever watched The Cat before? Comment below. And if you like the trash content that we always bring here in Trashing with Gus, please don't forget to subscribe and leave your wonderful like so we can keep talking and trashing for the rest of our lives, alright? And this is it for now. See you in the next trashing video, and bye bye.